Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of The Savior's Game by Chercover. Performed by Luke Daniels. One. It was the same room bathed in the same not-quite orange glow that presages sunset. Daniel Byrne let out the breath he was holding and filled his lungs again. He crossed the antique living room rug toward the tiled entrance hall. At the end of the hallway, a solid wooden door, painted British racing green. Daniel had never passed through that door, in either direction, but he knew this apartment. He knew the bedroom in back was painted red, the same shade as his boyhood bedroom at 2601 General Pershing Street in uptown New Orleans. He knew there was a 1920s armoire, aromatic Spanish cedar, natural finish, white porcelain knobs, in the bedroom. It had been in Tim Trinity's room of that same childhood home. Before seeing it here 3 months ago, Daniel hadn't laid eyes on it since he was 13. Weirder still, the hand-woven rug he now crossed had been in the living room of Kara Singh's London flat. The rug had burned to ash when Conrad Winter's men torched her building down to the foundation. And yet, here it lay, the wool soft under Daniel's bare feet, restored. He walked to the French doors, knowing exactly what he would see when he opened them, and stepped onto the balcony, teak furniture with green and white striped cushions, same as the other 4 times. And beyond the balcony wall, the same almost tropical seaside town, coconut palms in abundance, and a subtly fragrant breeze that said West Indies, but the low-rise buildings looked more Southern California, a lot of white stucco and Spanish terracotta roofs, with a sprinkling of Art Deco here and there. Cars parked on the street below ran the gamut from beater to Benz. So a reasonably prosperous seaside town, bathed in the hyper-realistic glow of what filmmakers call the magic hour. It seemed Daniel was the only person in this town. At least he couldn't see anyone else from this balcony. Last time, he'd stood here for maybe 15 minutes before trying, once more, to leave the apartment. Only a fool would expect a different result the 5th time. He glanced again at the green door as he moved back inside to the kitchen. Front door is not the way out of here. He grabbed a bottle of water from the well-stocked fridge and returned to the balcony. He nursed the water until the bottle was empty, watching the whole time. A quick trip inside for a new bottle of water, then back to the balcony, watching. When the water was gone, he judged he'd been on the balcony the better part of an hour. He'd not seen a soul, not even an airplane in the sky, and he'd heard no voices or car engines or distant noises, just the sound of the breeze and the rhythmic beat of the surf hitting the shore, perhaps 2 or 3 blocks to the west. But strangest of all was the sun. The sun had stayed exactly where it was in the sky, not a millimeter lower since he'd arrived. And yet the sound of the surf told Daniel the ocean was moving at a normal pace. And since tides were caused by the gravitational pull of the moon must be moving at a normal pace relative to the Earth, which didn't easily jibe with the Earth not rotating, freezing the sun's position in the sky. It would take some getting used to. Remembering shoes he'd seen in the bedroom before, Daniel stepped inside, leaving the balcony door standing wide. The bedroom was as expected, red walls, cedar armoire, a pair of brown leather shoes beside the bed. Daniel sat on the bed and picked them up, turning them over in his hands. Crepe rubber soles, waxed leather uppers, with a thick seam sewn up the middle. More foot-shaped than shoe-shaped, they were completely broken in, contours suggesting many miles, wet and dry, on their owner's feet. He slipped his bare feet into the shoes. Perfect fit. These were clearly his shoes and no one else's, but he could not recall having worn them before. He laced up the shoes, walked back through the living room, stepped out onto the balcony, and approached the white half-wall. The wall came up to just below his ribcage and boasted dozens of round terracotta-lined holes, which served to let some natural light pass through. He felt the rough texture of the stucco surface on his hands, leaned forward over the wall and looked down past another balcony, a patio with a metal love seat and a couple of young